So there's definitely a few things I do want to go ahead and talk about today, but the main focus will be the 2026 Winter Olympics opening. Apparently, it was so demonic they had to release the fact checkers from the toilets and sewers they reside in to remind us that what we thought we saw, we did not see, and those balls inside our heads that we call eyeballs are nothing but lie balls. Reading this article from Times Now, which was published on February 7th, is titled Winter Olympics 2026 Are Satanic Symbols Hidden in the Olympic Cauldron? Fact-checking viral claims. Social media users accuse the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics opening ceremony of satanic symbolism after skier Sofia Goggia lit a cauldron resembling an inverted pentagram. Well, here's a photo of it, and it does look rather demonic. But taking a look at the video footage of it, it definitely looks like a pentagram being lit up. I mean, we're all looking at the same thing. I don't know how this can be fact-checked. Matter of fact, going to NBC Sports YouTube page where they're showing this, it's being heavily ratioed. At the time of this recording, 158,000 views and only 655 likes. That is bad. That is good at the same time because a lot of people are fully aware of what they're seeing here. I mean, just look at some of the top comments. Thought to myself, it would be weird if that turned into a penta. Oh, of course, they are mocking us, expecting us not to do a thing, but remember, the only thing they fear is you. You're all not crazy. It is exactly what you think it is. Y'all better start believing in conspiracy theories. We're living in one. And this last one right here really stood out to me, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. And the reason why this comment stood out to me, because this pentagram also reminded me of something else. It kind of looked like one of those biblically accurate thrones. Thrones being high-ranking angels would have definitely been among the fallen, and that's the vibe I get from this anyway, is a fallen throne. A fallen angel held by chains. Creepy. But you definitely see the outline of a pentagram, the upside down pentagram, which is the sigil of the Baphomet. That was perfectly outlined. There's no mistaking that. But also, look at the arch that it's in. The arch looks like the Arch of Palmyra, which led to the Temple of Baal. This eerily reminds me of the arch that's coming to the United States to celebrate the United States' 250th anniversary in 2026. An arch Trump proposes will be the largest arch in the world. And just look at the angel at the top. Angel, angel. They are both directly in the middle. He wants this arch to be so big that the only thing that's going to be bigger than this arch will be the Capitol building and the Washington Monument, which is basically Osiris or Baal shaft. And on top of this, it's going to be overlooking the Potomac River. The Potomac River, where the United States had its first plane crash in 15 years, where a Black Hawk crashed into an American Airlines plane directly over runway 33, and both the jet and the Black Hawk crashed into the icy Potomac River, where exactly 67 people passed away. And sometimes I think to myself, directly after that incident where 67 people passed away, children across the country were chanting 6-7. Now, I know that what they want to tell us anyway, it has to do with a rapper and him growing up on a 67th Street or 67th Avenue, something along those lines. But we do know the music industry is very satanic, whether it's rap or pop music and so forth. So it's probably another part of this ritual. And yeah, this arch will be overlooking that same Potomac River. Going back to the 2026 Olympic arch, you can see a figure in the middle holding a staff, but you also see one statue to each of its side, which looks like to be riders on top of a horse. Going back to Trump's arch, you can see again the angel in the middle, but something to each of its side. Trump said these represent eagles, which probably are more than likely the phoenix. So it's definitely very creepy. They're showing us what's coming to the United States with this demon right in the middle, this pentagram demon in the middle of the arch. But that's not all. That's not the only reference I noticed to the United States. We're also going to be talking about the United States CERN, Fermilab. So over in Washington, D.C., they have Baal Shaft, they have the Arch of Palmyra, and all they need now is the Temple of Baal. Oh, duh.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think McFly, think.
So we all see the arch, we all see the pentagram, we all see the ritual that's taking place here. But let's go ahead and go back to the fact-checking website to check out the excuse that they use. The article goes on to say some posts describe the structure as an upside-down pentagram and accuse organizers of engaging in ritualistic symbolism. Others pointed to the unprecedented decision to light two Olympic cauldrons simultaneously, framing it as further proof of occult intent. A fact-based examination, however, shows these interpretations rely on visual speculation rather than documented design intent. Again, don't trust those eyeballs, they're lieballs. And that's not me making a joke, that's exactly what they're saying here. This is why I greatly dislike fact checkers, because it's common sense. Of course, the artists are not going to come out and say that, yeah, it was demonic, we were promoting demons. Were they expecting that? But moving on, after they go ahead and light up this pentagram fallen throne looking thing, they start to stand on top of this giant swirl. Now yes, this type of symbolism is definitely associated with the abuse of children, more specifically boys. This also reminds me of CERN's logo as well, and if you saw my breakdown when it came to the closing ceremony of the 2024 Olympics, I said it looked like one giant homage to CERN. But there was definitely something very interesting that came out at the exact same time as this. As coincidence may have it, as the Olympic ceremony is taking place, we get this news. Fermilab announces 2026 artist and composer collaboration to translate particle physics into art. And just look at the art, look at the symbolism. Is this just, again, what the hip young crowd in the streets call a coinkerdinker? So this artwork was created by Eleutheria Lalios, I think that's how you pronounce it, and the article goes on to say, Lalios, whose work is informed by psychology, anthropology, and photography, will tackle the challenge of rendering the invisible world of particle physics into compelling visual experiences for the public in 2026. If you don't know what Fermilab is basically CERN. It is CERN. It's CERN in the United States. They will be playing a very big role between this 2031, but they will be activating their particle accelerator between 2026 and 2029 to collect data. And we do know what happens when CERN activates their particle accelerator, their Large Hadron Collider. Not only do things get very weird, but they also said that a fourth dimensional entity, a neutrino, a spirit, had escaped. The reason why Fermilab said they're doing this is just to see what came before the Big Bang. That's all they're doing. Nothing's crossing over, nothing like that. Nothing demonic. I mean, do people honestly believe they're spending billions of dollars to mess with these neutrinos to just find out what came before the Big Bang? Is anybody really buying that? Let's just take a look at some other articles which involve Fermilab. Like this one right here, going all the way back to September 1st, 2008, Fermilab looks for visitors from another dimension. A prototype liquid argon detector called Argonaut will pave the way for the Microboon facility at Fermilab. The detection of extra dimensions beyond the familiar four, the 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time, would be among the most earth-shattering discoveries in the history of physics. Now scientists at the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory in Batavia, Illinois, are designing a new experiment that would investigate tantalizing hints that extra dimensions may indeed exist. And again, they're using things called neutrinos. It goes on to say, the mystery has focused attention on an intriguing and very unconventional hypothesis. A fourth kind of neutrino may be bouncing in and out of extra dimensions. So this is nothing new, them talking about this in extra dimensions with neutrinos, but now their experiment is complete. And they're going to go ahead and at a high rate of speed between South Dakota and Illinois, they are going to go ahead and collide these neutrinos, and they believe that this collision, and it is believed that when neutrinos collide at a high rate of speed, that it may provide proof of extra dimensions. So they're telling us that these neutrinos are keys to opening up portals. Take for example as well this article from The Guardian where scientists talk about just that. This article talks about colliding neutrinos at a high rate of speed, and it says right here, if the result is proved correct, and that is still a big if, you have to go into some relatively uncharted areas of theoretical physics to start explaining it. Our idea is that neutrinos are able to access some new hidden dimension of space, which means they can take shortcuts, which means opening up a gateway, a portal. These are nothing more than just modern day ritualists. We can see it in their artwork, in their ceremonies. But before we move on, let's take a look at some of their other artwork. I know it's been spoken about before, but I just want to go ahead and look at it really quick. Like, take for example, this one. Looks like things are falling out of the sky, and this is something we have been seeing quite often, but they're calling them fireballs, meteors, and for some of them, they don't even have an excuse for. We see a bunch of demons surrounding a black cauldron. I mean, that's normal, right? Of course it is. We're talking about CERN here. Oops, I mean Fermilab, and this is exactly what they said they lit up at the Olympics, a cauldron. I mean, look at this. I get the sense I'm looking at, again, another biblically accurate angel, a seraphim, which again would have been among the fallen. Going back to the Winter Olympics on top of the spiral, we had this, where inside this trap box, you can see a human woman and a winged male angel. I mean, does anything else really need to be said what they're trying to show us here? They are showing us the creation of the Nephilim, how these fallen angels were tempting these human women. And isn't it interesting, I mentioned this in one of my most recent videos, how we are hearing a lot of references to the book of Genesis lately. One of the biggest ones being Trump's Genesis mission, but I also had spoken about this recent news article that came out about how there's this museum in England, they had this Egyptian tablet, and this tablet was translated to proving that giants were real. Biblical giants were indeed real, the Nephilim. And like I said in that video, I don't need a 3,300-year-old tablet to tell me that giants were real, but it is indeed very interesting timing. I mean, in the past, they would go ahead and do their hardest to try to hide this information. They would not talk about it. They would try to convince us that the giants, Nephilim, are not real. And yet now they're out in the open saying they are real. And on top of that, we have this imagery right here in the 2026 Winter Olympics, which is without a doubt the creation of the Nephilim. There was also Charlize Theron there in a black dress, and it looked like she had little wings on her back talking about peace. And we know what the Bible says about peace and them talking about peace. And it's also a very interesting choice given the fact that she played in The Devil's Advocate.
This is a message of peace by my beloved countryman, Nelson Mandela. Peace is not just the absence of conflict. Peace is the creation of an environment where all can flourish, regardless of race, color, creed, religion, gender, class, caste, or any other social markers of difference. Today, this message seems more relevant than ever. So let these games be more than just sport. Let them be a reminder of our common humanity, our respect for one another, and a resounding call for peace everywhere.
And of course, they also have portal imagery there and things crossing back and forth. This is also an eerie callback to the closing ceremony of the 2024 Olympics, where I said that's nothing but an homage to CERN. We can see these dark beings surrounding what looks like a portal, and we had the Golden Voyager crossing over while the singer was singing the hymn to Apollo. And now again, we have these beings surrounding rings, which again are portals with these beings inside of them. Just looking at this ceremony, I just get the feeling they're celebrating something about to cross over or something about to waken up. The fallen ones, the Nephilim, and again, organizations like Fermilab, CERN are going to be a part of that. And at the same time, we're hearing them talk about opening things up, opening up gateways, extra dimensions. We're also hearing a lot about aliens lately, but now they're calling them no longer things from another planet or outer space, but now they're calling them interdimensional entities.
Because Tulsi Gabbard says that she believes there are aliens. Do you believe that?
You know, I don't, it's interesting. I wouldn't say that I do or don't believe it. I mean, I'm a big believer that there are things out there that we can't explain. And so if another person sees an alien, maybe I see an angel or a demon. So I'm a big believer that there are like spiritual forces working on the physical world that a lot of us don't see and a lot of us don't understand and a lot of us don't appreciate. But, you know, is it aliens or is it our guardian angel?
This goes back to what Aleister Crowley said when he summoned over Lamb, which looks suspiciously like a gray alien. He said today they call them angels and demons, tomorrow they will call them something else, which they did. They started calling them aliens, but now they're going back to Aleister Crowley times where they're calling them angels and demons again, which for them, they are angels, but for most of us, they are considered demons.
The world loves its demonic symbolism, almost more than the people that choose to look away when they see things like this and just write it off and dismiss it altogether. But you know, we shouldn't be surprised when things like this happen because the world is run by the devil. And all these people here, they love to show this symbolism, gloat about it. I mean, do you remember the Summer Olympics in France with the, quote, Last Supper showing? They do this all the time. So as part of the opening ceremony, they lit one of two cauldrons. This is what it looked like. The upside down pentagram. They love this kind of stuff. But no, see, the world wants to look at this and they just want to dismiss these things as, hey, it's not a big deal. Especially, it's interesting after we've learned so much out of a certain file dump of ritualistic behavior, blood sacrifices, these kinds of things that are driven by the demonic. The symbolism is heavy and it's deep-rooted in everything that they do. It's all to worship their God. Small g. God. Small g. Kind of like this stage here, which is kind of reminiscent of another symbol that's on that side of the world, and it's all honestly referencing the devil's favorite number. The symbolism has a purpose, and they do it to gloat, they do it to worship. And don't think their locations don't have a purpose either, like this arch here, this demonic symbolism that's embedded underneath this arch. This is the Arch of Peace. Now don't forget, in the book of Revelations, the Antichrist, he ushers in peace. He brokers a peace deal, right? That's part of the tribulation.
That video came from Living Free 20.1. Their symbolism is just so blatant, and they just put it all throughout their media. They are telling us what they're doing because evil cannot hide itself. Again, they always have to let us know, and what they're doing through things like Fermilab, CERN, they are ushering these things over here, trying to open up gateways. These ritualists conducting their rituals with these demons, and they mock us through these ceremonies. But before we do go ahead and end this video, I would like to give a big shout out to my sister who did turn 57. I do want to send her all my love and God bless. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.